So you really ran the gauntlet already with North Carolina to start off with. Imagine, despite the outcome, you have to be pleased with how your team's playing.
Well, I mean, we played a very good team against Duquesne and played pretty well in that game, and then played, in a lot of good stretches against North Carolina. There's some key areas that we need to tighten up, though, and those are going to be big for us going into Wednesday's game and throughout the rest of the ACC, because you got to play really well for 40 minutes in this league, and 35 or 30 isn't going to be good enough. And one of the things you got to tighten up is, you just can't go 2 or 3 possessions where either you give up consecutive baskets or you don't score, and that's an area that we need to really get better at.
You talked about protecting the ball and keeping that point guard ratio of assists to turnovers, and it seemed like you did a fairly good job with that. Were you satisfied with that?
Yeah, I mean, if you at the end of the game said, okay, you were only going to give North Carolina 9 offensive rebounds and you were only going to have 9 turnovers, you figured it was going to be a pretty close game, and that's what it was. The difference in the game turned out to be an area that we've been really good at, is getting to the free throw line, and they outscored us at the free throw line. And then the other area was Chuck's minutes played. He just wasn't able to have the type of game that he's been having for us because of his limited minutes. And those two kind of went hand in hand. We got in some early foul trouble with Charles, and then in the second half, we didn't do a good enough job of defending without fouling.
It seemed like that was the trend in 2 of your losses, Georgia and North Carolina, and the same person involved too.
Yeah, I mean, obviously in the Georgia game we had Marcus in foul trouble as well, but we need, all our players out there playing. It's one of the things that we've been able to do is go deep into the bench and have guys fresh and have guys, playing at a high level of intensity all the time. And when you get into foul trouble, guys are extended minutes, and not just maybe total minutes played, even though Chuck only played 18, but the length of time that they're out there. And I felt that had an impact on the game on Saturday.
And of course, especially too when you're playing against a team that's deep and has the luxury of maybe bringing some McDonald's guys off the bench.
Yeah, and you know what though, that's this league. You're either playing against McDonald's All-Americans or you're playing against a veteran team that has great experience. That's kind of the mix in this league right now, and that's why we need to continue to do the things that we've done well, but there's still a few areas in particular in this league that you have to tighten up, because in this league, if you make a crucial mistake or there's a play or two you don't execute well, you're going to be exposed, and that was the case. That was the case on Saturday afternoon.
I imagine you have to be encouraged, though, not having all of your pieces and maybe not having played your best game the way you were able to compete with.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was fine with our competition level. You know what I mean? And I was pleased with a lot of the things that we did. But we're at a point right now. We have 5 seniors on the team where being competitive isn't good enough for us. Good enough's not good enough, and our guys understand that, and we need to expect more. And that's an area that we need to keep pushing and keep believing in and get to that point.
Your next game is against one of the hottest teams in the league right now in Pitt. They're really playing some good basketball.
Well, they're good. They're back to the Pitt of old. Quality guard play, toughness. They defend well. They rebound exceptionally well. They really move the ball side to side and really force your defense into some tough situations. So we're going to have to be on top of our game defensively. We're going to have to be on top of our game on the glass. We're not going to be very successful if teams are able to get 15 more points at the free throw line and out-rebound us by 10. We can hang in those games because we're much improved offensively. But it still comes down to some of those key areas. Now, the one thing we've done well, which has been important, and you guys have talked about it and asked me about it, we've done a great job of taking care of the basketball. When we played down there in Pittsburgh last year, I guess it would be up there, down here in the South. We had, I think, 16 or 17 turnovers, and that's too many. we've done a better job of putting in a position where we don't necessarily lose the game. The other team has to beat us, and I think if you do that, you're going to have the success that we want.
Do you even bring up the schedule of the team of, our first 6 games are against, you got 5 pretty big ones, or do you just?
No.
I imagine
We got a 2-hour practice today. That's all. That's what we've done all year long. We need to fight every day. We need to compete every day. I think that's one of the big changes that we've made in terms of what we do on a daily basis. We do a lot more blue versus gold as opposed to just a scout and a preparation. We have an upper class team, so the preparation, guys have been through it before, and guys know, if we say we're going to blue this, we're going to red that, we're going to fire that, they know what we're doing. We don't have to go through it 12 times in practice, so that helps. So now you're able to get after it in practice, shorter, harder, but more intense and more competitive type practices. And we got guys that we need to have play better. And so now you need to practice better.
Right.
And sometimes if you're doing all prep, you don't get the level of competitiveness to get them playing better and competing better. And so I think that's going to be important.
So even with guys like James and Adam who are new, you feel comfortable?
Yeah, 23 years old. You know what I mean? And they've been through it. They've been well coached. They come from 2 good programs. I mean, the 2 guys or 3 guys that Adam played for, he likes the 4th the best, by the way. But he's been well coached,
right.
And James has been well coached. The guy he played for was a great coach. So yeah, they picked it up. Obviously, those are guys that have to spend a little more time in the film room and one-on-one meetings and different things like that. But they've picked it up pretty quick.
With Charles, is there anything particularly you can do to try and amp the fouls down, or is it?
Well, it's been 2 games out of 14 that he's been in that type of foul trouble. One of the things is some other guys need to defend better. Because he's an aggressive player, so there's going to be 1 or 2 times. You can't be a great offensive rebounder without getting over the backs a couple times. You know what I mean? That's going to happen in a game. It's some of the defensive breakdowns by other guys necessarily, or sometimes by him, that cause those fouls. So we need a greater concentration amongst everybody. And in the Georgia game, it was both Marcus and Charles that were kind of victims of mistakes made in other places. And so, those guys have been around, so they know, we don't give up open layups where they're supposed to be on the help, but we got to eliminate some of those help situations by having a front line or first line of defense much better.
I imagine also with him, you don't want to amp that down at all because the frenetic energies.
No, yeah, he's fine. He's fine. When it comes to that, you don't have to amp. There was no amping Charles down. He'll be all right.
Is getting more production off the bench one of the things you're looking for against Pitt?
Yeah, I think that we've counted on those guys to come in and help us, and it's been different guys in different games, and that's kind of the way we kind of in foreseeing things. That's what we thought would happen, but we need to get some, not just point production, but we need to get some help on the glass. We need some defensive stuff. Yeah, and I think. I think that's a big key, because if we're gonna go with the fact that we're gonna play that many guys and play at the pace we want to play at, then they need to continue to add value to the game.
I know you don't look far down the schedule, but to get through these first few games with a record that's respectable, that would mean a lot. I imagine going forward to being like, okay, we've gotten through a pretty heavy.
Yeah, the only problem with that is you can look at every kind of bucket of games and say, holy cow, if we can get through that. I mean, that's the way the season is. That's the league. You know what I mean? But there's no question that we haven't been dealt the easiest hand to start with. But you got to play them. They ain't going to change it. With players, there's no free agency or trades, and with scheduling, there's no commissioner's reprieve on that stuff. You know what I mean? So you just got to go. You got to go to work, and that's what we're going to do.
After Marcus and Adam and Charles, I mean, is it your hope that someone's going to step forward and be a fourth consistent scorer, or do you just kind of expect that, you know?
Yeah, I think it's going to be different guys,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, it's a lot better situation. You just asked me who's going to be our fourth scorer, and in the last 2 years, you said who was going to be our second. You know what I
Or your
mean?
scorer.
So yeah, or scorer, yeah. You know, so we're in a better situation. But I think with post play, you know what I mean?
Right.
And again, I think sometimes maybe as you go down, that you need to group some guys together and say, can we get this production
Right.
from these guys? You know, can we get 10 to 15 points from Todrick and Q coming off the
Right,
bench
right.
for us? Can we get, you know, with Nick, James, and
Right.
Ben, can we get 10 to 15 points? If
Yeah.
we can get those, if we can get 30
Huh.
points from that group,
Yeah.
then we're in pretty good shape.
Right. Makes sense. Very good.
All
That's
good?
right, yeah.
All right.